There is a quiet ritual that happens behind closed doors in Washington. A president sits in the Oval Office while a circle of pastors gathers around him, hands extended in prayer. Cameras capture the moment, and within hours the image spreads across churches, television networks, and social media feeds. It looks like spiritual unity at the highest level of power. But these meetings are rarely just symbolic. In modern American politics, proximity to the president signals legitimacy. For religious leaders, the Oval Office functions as a national pulpit, and for presidents, those same leaders represent something far more tangible: organized, disciplined voting blocks. Over the last 4 decades, a pattern has emerged. Several pastors who secured influence at the highest levels of government were later accused of misconduct. Some confessed, others resigned, many denied aspects of the allegations, according to investigations. Yet their access came first. The red flags surfaced later. The question is not why scandals happen. The question is how these men earned their seats at the table in the first place, and why so few people asked hard questions when the photos were taken. The relationship between presidents and prominent pastors operates on a simple exchange. Religious leaders deliver voters. Presidents deliver visibility, legitimacy, and policy access. It is less a prayer circle than a political alliance. Megachurch pastors, in particular, command massive congregations and national media platforms. A single endorsement can signal direction to millions of evangelical voters. That influence becomes especially valuable in tight elections where turnout determines outcomes. Moral framing can mobilize where policy alone cannot. In return, the White House confers something priceless: elevation. A meeting in the Oval Office transforms a regional pastor into a national figure. A spot on an advisory board turns a preacher into a presidential confidant. The imagery alone suggests trustworthiness and divine alignment. This exchange does not require secrecy. It happens in plain sight. The photographs are public. The press releases are public. What often remains unexamined is how quickly moral authority becomes political currency, and how rarely anyone audits the character behind the endorsement. The access wasn't random. It followed a pattern. Not once, not twice, but across Republican and Democratic administrations, across decades, across denominations. Different personalities, same trajectory. Online, critics call it the anointing pipeline. Others describe it more bluntly: build the empire, deliver the votes, get the photo. Supporters frame it as faith leaders stepping into public service. Either way, the sequence repeats, and the pattern begins with scale. The most common path to the Oval Office is simple: build something too big to ignore. A megachurch, a media empire, a national conference circuit. When a pastor commands tens of thousands in a room and millions through broadcasts, presidents notice. Size becomes insulation. Influence becomes credibility. Credibility becomes clearance. Large institutions generate a presumption of stability. Boards, staff, book deals, security details. It feels vetted simply because it is visible, but visibility is not the same as scrutiny. Only later do questions surface. Only later do internal complaints reach reporters. Only later do investigations outline what congregants never saw from the pulpit. The public saw the front stage, the Oval Office photos, the advisory titles, the prayer circles. What they did not see was the backstage. And by the time the backstage emerged, the men were already inside the room. To understand that room, we have to start with the architects of scale. Bill Hybels built Willow Creek Community Church into one of the most influential megachurches in America, shaping evangelical leadership culture nationwide. His prominence led to advisory roles with Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, where he consulted on faith outreach and leadership initiatives. For years, his model was studied as best practice. Then, the backstage emerged. Multiple women alleged workplace sexual misconduct, claims Hybels denied before resigning. The same platform that elevated him now amplified the allegations. The scale that granted access also magnified the fall. A similar arc unfolded with Ted Haggard. As president of the National Association of Evangelicals, he represented millions and maintained regular contact with the White House under George W. Bush. In 2006, however, reports of methamphetamine use and involvement with a male escort surfaced. His authority collapsed almost overnight, leaving the public to grapple with the contrast: a moral spokesperson counseling power while privately battling scandal. If the first path is about size, the next is about timing. When Jerry Falwell Jr. endorsed Donald Trump in early 2016, he wasn't just offering a vote, he was offering a shield. His endorsement signaled to hesitant conservative Christians that Trump was an acceptable choice. It was a turning point, but years later, Falwell Jr. resigned amid reported personal and financial scandals. The sequence, however, remained intact: legitimize early, secure proximity, and weather the fallout later. As these relationships grow, they move from informal meetings to formalization. This is where advisory boards give structure to influence. Robert Morris joined a presidential evangelical advisory board, reinforcing his national profile, only for allegations of sexual conduct involving a minor from decades earlier to resurface years later. James McDonald, also connected to the advisory circle, later faced financial and verbal abuse allegations. On social media, the recurring question began to haunt the headlines. Who actually vets the spiritual advisors? The boards often dissolve quietly, but the photos remain searchable forever. Some leaders didn't command voting blocks as much as they commanded global recognition. Ravi Zacharias built an international apologetic empire and was welcomed by multiple administrations. Yet, after his death, investigations reported evidence of systemic grooming and abuse. Similarly, Brian Houston became an Oval Office guest while leading a global worship movement, only to step down later amid misconduct investigations in Australia. In these cases, a global platform provides presidential proximity, which is eventually followed by a devastating investigation. Then, there is theological alignment as a direct political asset. Paula White-Cain, for instance, became head of the White House Faith Initiative. Her prosperity gospel teachings had long faced scrutiny, but her loyalty was consistent and public. In this model, alignment is the qualification and proximity is the reward. We have to remember, this pattern did not begin in the 2000s. In the 1980s, Jim Bakker built the PTL empire into a religious broadcasting powerhouse and an ally of Ronald Reagan. It collapsed amid fraud and sexual scandal, leading to prison time. Even then, critics asked how the warning signs were overlooked. The answer lies in the exchange itself. Platform first, proximity second, protection, implicit or cultural, until exposure makes it impossible. Across administrations and parties, the sequence remains consistent. Build the audience, deliver the voters, earn the photo, and hope the backstage never becomes public. When a prominent pastor falls, the immediate damage is personal and institutional. Churches fracture, boards issue statements, media cycles intensify, but the political structure that enabled the access often remains intact. Presidents rarely suffer lasting electoral consequences from these associations. The endorsement has already mobilized voters. The advisory role has already signaled alignment. By the time allegations surface, the transaction is complete. Scandals are framed as individual moral failures rather than systemic vetting failures. The fallen pastor becomes the story. The machinery that elevated him does not. And the photographs, those carefully staged moments of spiritual unity, fade quietly into archives. What man sees is a president in prayer, a spiritual advisor offering guidance, a nation seemingly anchored in faith. What often goes unseen is the infrastructure behind the image. Influence traded for access, legitimacy exchanged for loyalty, red flags minimized because the political reward is immediate and measurable. The character flaw is not only in the individual scandal, alleged or confirmed. It lies in the system that equates platform with virtue and proximity with integrity. And as long as moral authority can be converted into votes, the Oval Office will remain a table worth earning, no matter the cost.